Welcome back to the Gentleman's Gazette and our interview series. In today's video, we discuss interview questions, how to answer them, and we look into 4 categories and strategies that you can utilize to answer any question. We all know an interview is about questions, and you ask and you respond. But if you think about your questions beforehand and your weaknesses and your strengths, you can provide an organized answer that is to the point without rambling, and that shows an employer that you can think in a structured way, and that's what they often want. Also, make sure to practice these questions with someone else, a friend or a family member, and particularly focus on the questions that trip you up. This is different for everybody, and so I can't give you a clear answer, but practice, 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 and you become better every time. When you go online, you can find thousands of interview questions, but it's impossible for you to learn all of them and remember the right answer, because the right answer may depend on the interview and you can't remember all of that stuff. Instead, I suggest you prepare the principles of 4 different kinds of interview questions. First, you have open-ended questions, such as, tell me about yourself. These are not trick questions, but it simply shows an employer or a recruiter that you can structure your answer, that you can explain the important things and leave out the unimportant things, and that you can highlight what's important. This is really an easy question to prepare because you are in full control. So make sure it's convincing and fits the job. You also want to leave out anything that your employer may consider to be negative. Another example question would be, why should we hire you? This is your chance to shine and you really want to nail it home. Ideally, you should have like 3 points that highlight why you're the perfect candidate. The second kind of questions are conflict-based questions. We all know that whenever you work with people, there will be problems. As a recruiter, you want to know, how does this person behave in a stressful situation when other people disagree with them? Do they go nuts or do they help to come to a constructive solution? Again, because past performance indicates future performance, they will likely ask you about an incident where you had a difficult situation with your boss or coworker. Be prepared to have a good answer, highlight what went on, be honest, but show how you came to the solution. Don't dwell on the problem. The third kind of questions are the so-called performance questions, because they want to know how you performed in the past so they know what you will do in the future. If you can answer these 3 questions, you're ahead of 90% of the other applicants because you know what's important to the business and the success of the business. And who wouldn't want to hire somebody who truly understands what's important for their business? The 4th kind of questions are the truth and big picture questions. Let's start with questions about truth. Let's say you apply for a position as a pilot. So they want to know if you answer honestly. They may ask you, oh, you're in a city and everybody around you drives 35 miles per hour, even though the speed limit is 30. How fast do you drive? They don't care how fast you actually drive. What they want to find out is if you answer truthfully. Because if you lie about a simple question like that, for 99% of all people would go with the flow and drive 35, and you say, no, I drive 30 miles an hour, then they have reason to believe that you may not be truthful when it comes to all the other questions and answers you give. On the other hand, if you are an accountant and somebody asks you that question, they expect you to do things properly and accurately, and don't just do things differently because you have to go with the flow. So as you can see, this can be the same question, but the right answer can really depend on the specific situation you're in and the job profile. The next kind of questions are big picture questions. And oftentimes, what the employer wants to figure out is if you can work towards a bigger goal and sacrifice smaller things that are important to you. Let's say they ask you, you go to a restaurant and you order a rare steak for a business lunch and it comes out well done. What do you do? If it's an important business meeting, they probably expect you to say that you don't care about it, you just eat the steak and you try to get the deal sealed. On the other hand, they could try to figure out if you actually just accept everything or if you stand up and ask for a rare steak. As you can see, there is no always right or always wrong answer. And that's why it's important you do not learn answers by heart, but you study principles. Of course, it also means you have to do your homework for the specific position so you're best prepared and you know what kind of answer would most likely appeal to the recruiter. Ideally, you want to appear to be structured and not all over the place, because if you can present your points with 1, 2, 3, or on the one hand, on the other hand, people can see you're differentiated and you can organize yourself. That's usually a quality that is desired by most employers. Now that you know how to prepare for your interview questions, make sure to watch our video on interview tips, what to wear to an interview, and how to behave on interview day.